Level 1. Junior Special Agent. You're 24. The surveillance van parked in South El Paso sits at 112 degrees. The air conditioning has been broken for 3 days. You are staring through a pinhole camera at a cinderblock auto body shop. You make $48,000 a year. You have a law degree and you are currently urinating into an empty Gatorade bottle so you don't break visual contact. Miller sits in the passenger seat. Miller chewed crushed ice from a styrofoam cup and never took his eyes off his binoculars. White van, plate ends in Charlie 7, Miller grunts. The raid happens at 3 a.m. You breach the drywall. You find $400,000 in shrink-wrapped 20s hidden inside a welded diesel tank. You log every single bill. You spend 14 hours in the evidence room, making sure the serial numbers match the manifest perfectly. You don't take a dime. Your integrity is absolute. Nobody thanks you for the 14 hours. Nobody gives you a medal for not stealing. You go home to a one-bedroom apartment and eat cold pasta over the sink. The silence of doing the right thing is deafening. Level 2. Field Agent. You're 28. The fluorescent lights of the interrogation room hum with a high, irritating frequency. You don't watch auto body shops anymore, you flip informants. You have a mid-level distributor named Flaco handcuffed to the steel table. Flaco wore a counterfeit gold chain and smelled like stale beer and fear. I can give you the transport truck, Flaco whispers, leaning forward, but you gotta look away from my cousin's corner store. It's the first real test of the gray area. The truck holds 2 tons of cocaine. The cousin sells ounces of weed. You make the calculation. You trade a misdemeanor for a front-page federal seizure. You nod. You uncuff Flaco. You bust the truck the next day. The agency praises you. The media takes photos of you standing in front of the bricks. You just crossed the line, and the system rewarded you for it. Compromise is just a tactical decision. Level 3. Case Agent. You're 32. The leather seats of the informant's Lincoln Navigator are soft. You're meeting a cartel lawyer in a strip mall parking lot in Phoenix. You're building a massive RICO case against a plaza boss. The lawyer, Garza, speaks perfect English and wears a suit that costs more than your monthly salary. My client wants to cooperate, Garza says smoothly. He slides a thick manila envelope across the center console. For your expenses, to ensure smooth communication. You know what it is. You don't open it. You stare at the brown paper. The agency just denied your overtime pay for the 3rd month in a row. Your wife is asking about the mortgage. You place your hand over the envelope. It feels heavy. There is $15,000 inside. You slide it into your jacket. You don't arrest Garza. You just bought a new roof for your house with drug money. The badge feels a little heavier on your belt. Level 4. Group Supervisor. You're 36. The tactical whiteboard in the briefing room is covered in red marker. You lead a task force of 12 agents. You aren't just taking envelopes anymore. You are managing an ecosystem. You have a silent, unwritten partnership with the Sinaloa cartel. They feed you the exact locations of the rival Juarez cartel's safe houses. In exchange, you pull surveillance off Sinaloa's primary trucking routes. Your arrest statistics are the highest in the entire Southwest Border Division. You look like a superhero to Washington. Ruiz stands by the coffee machine. Ruiz constantly checked his pager and smelled of heavy peppermint gum. Juarez stash house is confirmed, Ruiz says. You gear up. You kick in the door. You seize another 3 tons. The agency gives you a commendation plaque. The Sinaloa cartel moves 10 tons across the border the exact same night, completely unbothered. You are no longer fighting the drug war. You are a highly armed logistics officer for a criminal syndicate. Before we go further, if you've made it this far, comment what career you want to see next. Hit that like button right now and subscribe. We upload every single day. Level 5. Resident Agent in Charge, RAC. You're 41. The burner phone in your glove compartment vibrates twice. You operate out of a standalone DEA office in Tucson. You manage $5 million in federal operational funds. You also clear $50,000 a month in offshore wire transfers to a shell company in Belize. You pull the car over onto the dirt shoulder of the highway. The text message contains a single question mark. The cartel wants to know if their top logistics coordinator is on the federal wiretap list. You have access to the master database. You log in using a subordinate's credentials. You find the coordinator's name. The wiretap goes live in 48 hours. You type, "Yes, go dark," and hit send. You smash the burner phone with a tire iron and throw the pieces into a dry creek bed. The next morning, the federal wiretap goes live on 20 dead phones. A 2-year, $4 million federal investigation evaporates into thin air. You sit in the morning briefing and act frustrated. Treason is remarkably quiet. Level 6. Assistant Special Agent in Charge, ASAC. You're 45. The air conditioning in your corner office is perfectly calibrated to 68 degrees. You are the second in command of a massive division. A cartel lieutenant has been captured by a rival faction. He is offering to turn state's evidence in exchange for federal protection. He is the only man who can link you directly to the cartel payroll. The cartel reaches out. They want the location of the safe house where you are holding him. If you refuse, they will send your offshore bank records to the Department of Justice Inspector General. You have 2 bad options: protect the witness, face a federal indictment, and spend 30 years in a supermax prison. Or give the cartel the address and become an accessory to murder. You stare at the blinking cursor on your computer monitor. The silence in the office is absolute. You write the address on a sticky note. You walk down to a payphone. You make the call. The safe house is hit by a tactical team of sicarios 4 hours later. 3 federal marshals and the witness are killed. You attend the marshals' funerals. You salute the caskets. Level 7. Special Agent in Charge, SAC. You're 50. The balcony of your Miami condo overlooks the Atlantic Ocean. You are the top federal narcotics agent in the region. You don't deal with stash houses or informants. You manage the macroeconomics of the coast. A cartel submarine carrying 7 tons of pure cocaine is approaching the Florida Straits. The Coast Guard has a cutter in the sector. The cartel offers you $3 million to create a diversion. You don't hesitate. You fabricate a massive, high-priority intelligence alert about a terrorist smuggling vessel 200 miles to the north. You pull the Coast Guard cutter out of the sector. The submarine slips through the gap. You sit on your balcony drinking an $800 bottle of scotch. You watch the dark water of the ocean. You just facilitated the poisoning of an entire American city with a single phone call. The scotch burns on the way down. The money hits your account by midnight. Morality is a luxury for the poor. Level 8. Attaché? You're 55. The armored SUV navigates the chaotic traffic of Mexico City. You are the highest-ranking DEA official in the country. You operate in the diplomatic shadows. The cartel you have protected for 15 years is fracturing. A rogue faction is threatening to expose your entire history to the CIA. You don't use the law anymore. You use the military. You supply the Mexican Marines with highly classified, illegally obtained signals intelligence pinpointing the rogue faction's compound. You brief the Marine commander. Colonel Vega sits across from you. Vega wore aviator sunglasses indoors and kept his hands folded perfectly on the table. "We go in hot," Vega says. You nod. The Marines attack the compound with helicopter gunships. 60 people are killed. You use a foreign military to assassinate your blackmailers under the guise of the drug war. You write the after-action report, classifying it as a major victory for international cooperation. Level 9. The target. You're 59. The paper shredder in your basement runs for 3 consecutive hours. You retired early. The Department of Justice Office of the Inspector General, OIG, has opened a massive internal probe. They found the offshore accounts. They found the dead marshals. The cartel knows you are compromised. You are a liability to the government and a liability to the syndicate. You sit at your kitchen table with a loaded Sig Sauer P226. The house is completely dark. The phones are disconnected. You don't sleep. Every shadow is a tactical breach. Every car driving past is a hit squad. You thought you were the predator. You realize you were just a very expensive temporary tool. The cartel doesn't leave loose ends. The government doesn't forgive embarrassment. You sit in the dark, waiting for the door to kick in. The silence is no longer a tool. It is a countdown. Level 10. The end. You're 61. The cheap motel room in Odessa, Texas, smells of stale nicotine and damp carpet. You've been running for 14 months. You look 75. You have $12 million in the Cayman Islands that you cannot touch without triggering an Interpol alert. You are sitting on the edge of the sagging bed, watching the snow fall on the parking lot through the filthy window. There is a soft, rhythmic knock on the door. It isn't the police. The police yell. The police ram the hinges. This is a quiet, polite knock. It is the cartel cleaner. You don't grab the gun on the nightstand. You don't run for the bathroom window. You don't think about the millions. You don't think about the cartel bosses or the sub or the offshore accounts. You think about Miller chewing crushed ice in the suffocating heat of the surveillance van 37 years ago. You think about logging the bills in the evidence room. You think about the exact moment the money was just paper and the badge was just metal and you were clean. The door handle clicks open. You sit in the dark, realizing you sold your entire soul piece by piece, only to end up exactly where you started, in a cheap room, waiting in the dark. You were never the architect. You were the product. The door swings